Since releasing Hexeract just under a year ago, the most common question we get by far is, why do I need Hexeract if I have Synth A and Synth B already? Or what can Hexeract do that my other synths can't? And we've finally decided to make a video specifically dedicated to answering this. We'll start more generally and work in towards the more complex and specific features unique to Hexeract. Hexeract enables both standard waveforms plus 124 deep-sampled instruments to be run through a fully-fledged, feature-rich synth, triggering components and being modulated, even on a per-note basis. It's a common technique to layer multiple, sometimes detuned oscillators to achieve a thicker and lusher sound. Unfortunately, software synths usually produce a perfect, identical waveform each time the same note is played. Layering can result in phase cancellation problems, which make the sound thin and tinny. This issue is even more prominent when layering the same sample multiple times. In Hexeract, you can layer up to 8 unison voices in each oscillator, which can individually have their phase position randomized. This means that, even using samples, you can make your sounds thicker and lusher right away, using the same techniques which originated from the early days of analog synthesis. Sampling is one thing and synthesis is another, but Hexeract has both. In addition to standard soft synth waveforms, there are 26 additional analog synth waveforms and sounds. When random phase position is activated, the oscillators behave just like their analog counterparts, in the sense that you can keep pressing the same note and the waveform will be slightly different every time. Let's take a look at the preset Mega Brass, which came out with the latest Hexeract update. Using various Hexeract parameters, some standard brass samples and an analog synth have become a vast, earth-shattering horn section. You can apply this concept to any included instrument. For example, use Hexeract to create many different types of orchestral string sounds. Any modulation in Hexeract can be set to per-note mode, which is a sample and hold style connection, meaning every individual note will have the modulated control freeze, just for that note, at the value it was at when the note was played. There are so many uses for this, an obvious one being to create thick, wide and spacious pads made up of many tiny notes thrown around the stereo field at random. If we take an extremely fast LFO set to random, turn on per-note mode so any modulation connections made now will be per note, and route the LFO to pan, every individual note that we play will play at a different pan position and remain there. We'll turn on the arpeggiator mode, set it to something very fast, add an octave or two, and set the order to random. From here, it's all creative choice and freedom. The result is a very lush, wide and aleatoric pad with a temperamental and unpredictable stereo field.